Started. Hey, what's up, Joey? Joey?
What's going on?
How's it going, dude? Not too much, man. Just chilling, bro. This waiting for this market to pick back up.
Yeah, man. That was a good call at US 30. You made me a few dollars.
Oh yeah, did you take that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I'm like, I had to.
Yeah, I'm glad I did too, because I was thinking about it for like a while, and then I figured I was like, I might as well just take it because it seemed like such a good trade, and it played out pretty nice. So it's still pushing. I closed out of my position, but it does look good for the most part.
Nice. Yeah, I took early profits, man.
Yeah, same here. Once it got to the swap, I was like, I'm not gonna risk it because you never know what's gonna happen once we enter the next session.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yo, Billy,
Yeah.
you have any questions? Anything the Kyle
I
asked
got a
you?
good question. You ready?
Yeah.
Shawn, if you had an FTMO and you were sitting at 91,000, what would you do?
When's it due?
Week and a half.
You got. I mean, you kind of got some time. So I would just take the US 30 trades. I would probably increase the lot size a bit. Oh wait, actually you got 91, huh? So you only have like so much to risk.
I got 924.
Oh dang. Okay, so you probably you probably have to use like decent risk. Like you might as well have to like go all out for that one position to bounce you back.
I've been throwing 20 lots in there.
Yeah, because it's like do or die at that point. You know, if one week isn't really that much time, so you kind of have to just take a lot of risk. Or you could scalp. That's what you can do as well. You can either scalp and try to make your way back up and then try to trade normally, or you can take like one big position, which will probably be like your last position because you're gonna use max risk.
I was down to 90,200, and I got it up to 900.
900. Oh, nice.
Yeah, bro, it was so close.
Dude, that's happened to me a lot of times where I was actually in that same position one time where that happened, where I got to like 91, and then I just ended up taking one position, which I just like basically threw a Hail Mary. I just took a trade, let it run overnight for US 30, and it ended up going like deep in profit. So it worked out for me, but I can't say that's gonna happen for every single time. It's just super risky. Like last night, last night if you took a trade like at midnight, like a buy and just let it run, you could have made like crazy amount of profit right here, like 3,000 pips. So so it just really depends, because if you take a trade like around midnight, I like personally what I would do is I would just take a big enough lot size to cover whatever risk you have left, and then just let it run during like London session into US, because generally from like London to US it usually goes like in one direction, or it'll go like one direction for London and then it'll go opposite for US. So like if you take it during London open, you can let it run, and then you can think about whether you want to move your stop loss and profit during New York session, or just pretty much let it run. Because if you go back over here and you just look at how price moves like during certain sessions, like right here, you can see from London, it pushed up from this point, like from, midnight was right here. It pushed up from this point, like about 1,500 pips. And then once it got to 630 right here at US, it did the opposite. So it dropped the other way. So.
Yeah, so I got a list of, questions. Billy, I was kind of like asking, do you have anything like specific you want to go over? Still there?
Billy might be out. Might be working. See.
True.
Yeah. Actually, let me see. All right. Hey, Billy, can you talk? Let me see.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
All right. I was actually because I gotta unload this car real quick, and so it probably took me like 5-10 minutes, but not like probably like 5 minutes or so. But nah. Hey Shawn, too. You know what's crazy? I know you don't use Fibonacci. I was actually showing Kyle. This is too for you too, Joey. That if you look at the you know how Fibonacci, everybody says, oh, you watch from the 618.
Yeah.
From the last night's, or was it last night? I think it was last night's push up into today. There was 8. I actually got 765 and then made a mistake on another pair, but I made $765 off my own 618 rejection on a 15 lot. But there was 8 in a row. It hit off the 618, it went up, right? So I was telling Kyle, I'm like, dude, if you would have taken a 5, like I videoed it, I said, if you would have taken a 5, like a 15 lot here, right? And then right at this bounce, the rejection at the bottom, it went up, it bounced off the 618, and then you scaled in another 15 lot because you're already in profit from your previous. It then went above it, came back to the 8 times in a row. It bounced off the 618. You could have scaled in that many times. Obviously, I know it's like you never get that lucky, but it was literally 8 in a row.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to how I use the pivots, because I'm not sure if we covered this before, but the pivots kind of line up with the Fibonacci. So, like for example, here, how you were saying those levels, these pivot levels are like the same levels as the Fibonacci's actually. So I don't know if you ever noticed that, but like if I was to draw like a Fibonacci somewhere over here, see where that tool is at. Fibonacci tool is right here. So we got the Fib retracement. If you were to mark it from here up to there, you can see that the Fibonacci levels line up with the zones right here. With the the pivots. So like you could have done the same thing. You know how you mentioned, like you could have let it push up, and as it came down, you could have just entered a bunch of long positions right here, one right there, and then as it came back down to retest the pivot again, you could have taken another one right there, and then so that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 positions right here that you could have taken using the pivot strategy, because the pivots line up the same as the Fibonacci's. That's what a lot of people have been telling me, but like I don't use the Fibonacci, so I wouldn't really know. But just from like other people's experience using it, they said that the pivots pretty much line up with the Fibonacci entries as well.
Oh, they do. See, I never used the pivots before.
Yeah, because if you look at the pivots here, so I'll go to a clean chart over here. Yeah, if you go to a clean chart over here, and I just show you how it looks like. So this would be the pivots, and it pretty much lines up perfectly with the fibs for the most part.
Yeah, I like the pivot indicator.
See, I gotta do my research on that because I don't, like I said, I never used those.
Yeah, because usually when I do scalp myself, I usually, like, if I see a nice trend like shooting up like right here where it shoots up, every time it comes down, I just enter another long position like right here. So when it goes down to like the second level, I'll just hit like an entry right there, and then pretty much just ride that up. And then again right here, it comes down and tests that second level again. And you just pretty much just keep riding it up every time it comes down to test.
Gotcha.
So like,
Hey Shawn, is Kyle muted?
I don't think so. He just talked right now. I just heard him. Let me see.
Oh, you heard him? I can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you now. Word.
Yeah, he just confirmed the pivots right now. That's the only reason I heard him say. I heard him mention earlier when I was talking about it.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna drop this car off.
All right, so I got a list, Shawn. Kind of some organization.
Ooh, get to it.
Yeah, so US 30 strategy analysis. I guess Kyle, what is it? Which strategy?
For what?
The US 30 and the GJ.
I've been doing GJ with the 30-minute zones. That's how I've been doing it with the scalping.
So yeah, if we could look at that, and then I want to look at like low time frame scalping because I don't really know where to begin.
Yeah, dude, for sure. So for GJ, I'm assuming you're using the pivots, right, Kyle? Or,
well, I have the pivots, but I was just using like the SMAs. I use those and your pivots, and then the SRs for the support resistance for my zones.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I do the same thing. Kind of similar. Like I do the pivots and then I use the SRs. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, if you found a way that works, I would just keep using it because, I mean, it looks like it moves pretty smooth. Just looking at GJ here on the 30-minute, I mean, you could even create your own strategy where like if price like crosses into the other trend, like kind of right here, where this bullish candle crosses over, you can literally just take a buy entry right there, have your stop loss below the pivots, and then pretty much ride this thing up. And then like same situation over here, price broke the pivots over here.
And it shot down.
Yeah, and it shot down right there. And then again, right here, as price crosses back above, you can probably enter another buy right there.
But yeah, when it crosses the pivots, that's just a confirmation of the direction that it's going to go in, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, it's just it's confirming like a shift in trend, because you can see here, like obviously, when price crosses the pivots below, the main confirmation, like the full confirmation, would be if the red line crosses above all of the pivots, because the red line is the strongest pivot. So if it crosses above all the three, like right here, you can see crosses, but it's kind of like iffy, like you're not sure if it's really gonna cross over. Right here, you can possibly get an early entry, but if you wanted to wait for it to fully cross, like right here, you'd still be able to catch like this full move down here for like another 100 pips, and then like same.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Yeah, exactly. And same situation right here, like price breaks the pivots right here, but the red pivot doesn't cross over to like way over here. You probably would have missed like, I don't know, a bunch of pips from like right here to up here, like 60 pips. But if you waited till here, you could have gone like, you still could have locked in some profits as well. Because like from this point all the way up here, you still locked in about like 80 pips. So, I mean, that's one way to use it. Like that's what I use the pivots for. It's mostly just to identify like the trend for that specific time frame. I mean, if you wanted to see the higher time frames, you can just turn on like the trend meter. If you really wanted to, it's not really necessary, depending on how you're trading, obviously. Like if you're scalping, the overall trend's probably not going to matter. But if you're trading something that's like, intraday or swing trading, then it would probably come in handy, but it's not necessary.
Hey Shawn, is the trend meter set for 4 hours? Like the 4 time frames? Is that for the higher time frame when you're looking at it?
Well, right now I have it set to these shorter ones because I was using this for like some scalping. So I had it set 1 minute, 10 minute, 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, and 15 minute. And then I was taking entries on the 1 minute. But if you wanted to do like intraday, you can always put it to like 30 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. I mean, there's different combos you can use. It just really depends on like what you're trying to apply it for. But I think these are good intraday settings. If you wanted to do like swing trading, you can obviously go from like 4 hour, the daily, weekly, monthly. But it just really depends on what you're trying to apply specifically, because then you can always change the settings up that way.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Billy.
All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Oh.
All right, cool. Oh, so Joey, well, sorry, I got confused with like which you wanted to cover. So what are we covering right now?
So US 30, the strategy.
Okay. I'll pull up US 30.
GJ is the other pair that we look at. And then like low time frame scalping. It doesn't matter what pair. I just kind of want to.
Oh gosh,
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, for US 30. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. Like the very basic way to do it is I usually go on the 10 minute with the pivots, and then I just apply the pivot strategy right here. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the pivot strategy, like basically the way that it's I'll just go over it again so that we can cover everything.
This is what you do with your calls though every day?
I never call scalping calls.
Oh no, no, US 30 is not the scalping. The scalping's another subject.
The Forex pairs.
Yeah, the scalping's for Forex pairs. The US 30 is just kind of the strategy that you use on the dailies.
Well, no, I use this for scalping too. Like this same strategy works for Forex and it works for indices. Like you can use this for anything. If you want to use it for US 30, you can see here that it obviously works. If you want to use it for Bitcoin, I mean you can do it on Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
Too. It works on anything. So it just really depends on what you want to apply. But like if you want to like more specific scalping question. This is what I personally use mostly for like scalping. So
Oh, okay. I'm more just like, I know nothing about it, so
yeah. Well, I mean, with scalping, there's like, well, I don't recommend anyone scalp if like you're not familiar with it, because you can lose a lot of money scalping. Because the thing
no,
is,
I'm gonna open a demo.
yeah, because with scalping, you get like really greedy. If you end up losing a trade, you're gonna keep wanting to double up, and you're just
Yeah.
like, the problem with scalping is people overtrade. Like if they lose, like usually my rule is if I lose like 2 or 3 times back to back, I just stop scalping and I take a break.
Okay.
For a lot of people, they just keep going. They literally keep going because they think that they just got unlucky and they want to keep trying for that next shot. But it doesn't always play out that way, because the market, like, you never really know how the market's moving. And with scalping, I mean, you could have hot streaks where you're having like back-to-back wins, and then you'll have hot streaks where you're having back-to-back losses. So you just have to know when to stop, because the market's not always going to be moving smoothly. Like for example, here, you can see that we have smooth trends here for US 30, but if you go back like the previous day, over here is all choppy. So this is probably a day where I probably would stop scalping after like having a couple losses, even though it doesn't look like there's much losses here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, I'm looking for like something I could scalp between like say like 6 and 9, or it would be like 3 and 5 your time.
Yeah, it would be this. I mean, you can use the strategy on the 10-minute or the 5-minute. It's really up to you, whatever. Like you can see here, there's a bunch of wins here that you could have taken on the 10-minute. Like right here, this would have been a win. This would have been a win. And then we have another pending one up here as well. So it works on the 10-minute. If you want to go on the 5-minute, it also works on the 5-minute as well. You would have another win right here. You'd have another win right here, another win right here, and another one right here, and then even another one down here as well. So it just really depends on how you want to apply it. I mean, there's a ton of different ways to scalp. This is just how I scalp usually, or this is like, I would consider this like the foundation, because it's not really that difficult.
Okay.
But there's like a bunch of other things that you can incorporate. Like you can always incorporate the SR levels. It's not necessary, but if you wanted to be extra careful, you could, because that's like what one of the other guys does. Like this guy Josh in the group, the one that created the Sunday US 30 strategy, he scalps on the 1 minute. So he'll draw his zones on the 30-minute and the hour, and then he'll scalp on the 1 minute, doing the same strategy.
And just what, in between the zones, he'll look for an entry?
He basically, yeah. So he'll wait for price to like break structure, and then he'll just ride it to the next zone. So he'll trade zone to zone. Like literally all the strategies that are in the course, you can use them for scalping. You just got to move them to the shorter time frame.
Oh, okay. Because
So,
I watched that class, the scalping one.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. So yeah, the scalping one, this is the main one that's taught the pivot strategy, but it would really be up to you, like what fits you. Because the thing is, like, I provide all these strategies, and a lot of them have the same entry points. It's just you're looking for different things. Like for example, here, if you were to take this trade here, like this would have been a pivot entry. So like for one, it's obviously a pivot entry here. And then if you wanted to apply the intraday strategy, if I was to change the trend meter down here to the shorter time frames, so like the 1 minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, and 30-minute. So if you were to apply the intraday strategy, it'd be the same exact entry. Like this would be a pivot entry here, but it also would be an intraday entry as well, because you have a buy signal there, you have a trend meter down here. So like it depends on which one you want to apply, because I could teach you whichever one you want. But
I like the pivots.
Okay, gotcha. Because yeah, like if you're applying the intraday strategy here, this would work as well. Like you'd have you take this buy position here, and then you would take this buy position here as well, because they both line up, right? You have like the trend meter's green, you have a green signal, trend meter's green signal, and then again over here, another one. So these three would be intraday entries. And then if you're applying the pivot strategy, you'd have the same exact entries right here, right? So it doesn't matter what you're really applying. It just depends on like which one you like, and then you could apply them, because regardless as to whether you're applying the pivot strategy or the intraday strategy, they both work the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to apply the pivot strategy, that's what I use too. I use that as a baseline for scalping. And then obviously on top of that, you can always include other things. You can include the trend meter, or you can include
hey, real quick.
the stars. Oh, go ahead.
So on intraday, is that only for buys?
No, you can take it the other way too. So like, see if I can find a sell here. Yeah, like right here. So this is the intraday for a sell right here. So let me turn this off. So right here, you have a red sell signal. You have the red trend meter down here, and it goes both ways. You take a sell right there, full TP. So you could have a sell there. See if there's anything. You have a buy here. It doesn't matter whichever way you want to trade it. You can take buys if they match up. You can take sells if they match up. It just really depends on what you run into. But it works both ways, Billy. Like if you want to sell or buy.
Gotta start looking that up. Hey, Shawn, real quick. I mean, I know me and Kyle, like I give him money. Obviously, we share kind of like I'm always on his trading view because I tell him, obviously I try to use your indicators.
Yeah.
Any chance that I can grab them, or would I have to get my own package to get the indicators unlocked for myself?
Yeah, because the way that the system works is that it's all automated. So like in order to unlock the indicators, you would have to we'd have to have an account for you that's active within the system, and then we put your username in there, and then that's how it unlocks it. Because like
Gotcha.
yeah, when the subscription ends, it automatically removes like access because your account gets deleted. So that's how it works. There's nothing that could like be manually inputted to unlock the access.
All right. Gotcha. So my bad, Kyle. I'm gonna keep on messing up your charts.
Yeah, you guys can always
He's
set
like, "What do you do to my charts, man?" I'm like,
you guys could change this up too. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Like if you do you manage your charts right here, you can change the layouts so that you could have like, Kyle's layout, and then you could have one for Billy, so that you guys don't mess up like each other's layouts.
oh, can you?
Yeah, that's usually how I do it. That's why I have different layouts here. I have one for like US 30 only, and then I have one for my Forex pairs, and then I have one for like just testing. Because I mess with them all the time too, like if I'm doing different things. So I usually have different layouts right here for it, depending on what I'm doing it for.
Gotcha. So I'm wondering too, like, could you use all right, so for instance, your intraday strategy. Say how you took a buy, I noticed, and a lot of the buys when it goes up and then you get a sell signal. If you're in a buy and then you get that sell signal, can you then turn on the pivot points, like you said, and then just take that sell signal to see where it rejects at, and then jump it on a scale in a second position off that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. I mean, it's obviously it's going to be risky, but I do know some people that do that. I used to do that as well. Like I would like exactly what you mentioned. Like I would take the buy signal, and then if I got a sell signal, I would just take it down the other way. And then I would literally be on my phone, or I'd be on the computer. I just hit buy and sell either way. Like I'd buy, and then you can flip the position. Like on TradingView, it's cool because you can flip the position. Like you can take a buy, and then there's a button there where you can flip it. So you can go from a buy to a sell right away without like going through the whole, loops and hassles of like changing your order.
So you link TradingView to FTMO?
Not for FTMO, but for like normal accounts. Yeah, because for Forex before, I used to scalp a lot on there, but I don't really do it as much. But it's definitely like super useful because like obviously you can see here that sometimes like maybe not on the shorter time frames, but on other time frames you can literally just like take trades in like one direction. Like from right here you can take like a buy, and then like when it gets to a sell over here you can sell off in the other direction. And then as you get another buy, like you're just making profits in between each signal. That's what I used to do before, but it just takes a lot of work because you have to like be on the screen, like, at all times to manually do it.
So for the scouts, you're waiting for a signal?
Well, I mean, that's another strategy. Like that's like a whole nother story. So it depends
I
yeah.
thought it was you were looking at it to reflect off of one of the pivots.
Oh no. So like to that question, you'll see here that it doesn't really push that far down, right? So you have a buy signal. When you get a sell signal, it's already at the pivot, so it bounces right off it. So you don't really have room for you to take a trade when it comes down like that.
I'm just saying in general, like if you're watching the pivots, are you waiting for your signal, your green or red signal, or are you looking for maybe a rejection off a pivot to make a quick scalp?
Yes, well, it depends on what you're applying. So if you're applying the pivot strategy, obviously you'd have to wait for, a buy signal, because you want the buy signal above the pivots for all the requirements to be met. So you can enter that, and then that would be like your full position. So like, for example, here, this would be your full position, but then every time it comes down, you could always stack more positions on there. So you have one full position running right here, and then you have all these other small options right here as well. So price comes up, comes down, you can enter a small scalp right there, make some more profit right there. Price comes back down, hits the pivot, you take another one right there. Like, you can keep scalping within the position. So it depends if you're trying to scalp, like make really small scalps, or if you're trying to take the full move. You can take both pretty much. Like, you
All right,
can.
leave that up there too.
What was that, Billy? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, I was saying to leave that up there because I had a question too.
Oh yeah, gotcha, yeah. So yeah, do you see what I mean by that, Joy? Like, you could have one position, and then every time it comes down, it's test the pivot. Like, I would never take a sell, like how Kyle was mentioning earlier. Like, if he asked me if I would take a sell, if like a sell signal came up and then it'd come down to the pivot, I would never do that, because that's going against the trend. And odds are it's probably not going to last that long, because you can see here, every time we have an opposite signal, it only comes down like very slightly, and then it shoots right back up. Right here, another sell signal comes down slightly and then shoots right back up. Like, you definitely don't want to end up on the wrong side of the market, because if that happens, you can't get out of the trade. You might get.
My phone's gonna. Come on.
So you get your signal, right? The pivots, the pivots are spread out, and as it's coming back down the test, you're going to jump in for little scalps as it goes up. So like, the signal's telling you the direction, and then you're just kind of following it.
Exactly. So I have so I have like one main position here, and I'll take like a full lot size on there. So this is going to be like my main position, and then from within here, I'll just take small scalps. So every time price comes down to the pivot, I'll have like the buy button ready, right? I just hit the buy button. I set it to like a small scalp, like maybe like this is US 30, so I'd probably shoot for maybe like 300 or 500 pips. So every time it comes down, I lock in another, some more profit there. And then I just keep writing this up pretty much as it continues up. And then if you want to add another position on it, there is a bunch of other places here. Like, you can have one big position, and then you could have another big position right here, and then you could have another big position right here, because there's more entries that keep like appearing after you've made that that one entry over here. So there's like, when you say scalping, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to scalp. Like, there's obviously going to be, like how I mentioned earlier, this is the foundation, right? Foundation is to get into this pivot entry. But once you're in this pivot entry, there's a whole bunch of different entries that you can make within it, because you have this big entry, and then you have these small scalps right here, and then you can add on like more big entries as well as they keep appearing on the chart.
Yeah, I'm looking for I'm gonna practice, but I'm looking for something like later in the night that I could just spend an hour, scalping, making quick trades.
Probably well, for you it's kind of tough, because if at night, that'd be ages.
Yeah, I know.
It's too slow, so you can't really scalp at night. You'd have to do it during like London session or US session, because I've tried to scalp during Asia session, and bro, it sucks. Sometimes you'll be stuck in a trade for like hours, and then as soon as it hits like London session, it could easily reverse on you. So that's like something that I don't really recommend. But
okay,
I mean, if you really wanted to try it out, I mean, you could, because like, for example, here, these entries over here were like during Asia session. Like, this was Asia session. It was really slow up until we got to like, I guess closer to London, like later at night. But you'll have some days where it runs quick, and then you'll have some days where it runs slow. Majority of the time it'll run slow, so it's kind of difficult.
I was thinking about, like, I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but like if I picked like two, like NZD JPY, wouldn't that move enough during the Asian session?
Yeah. So if you're trading something that's like open during the Asia session, you would have better luck. So like, for example, if you wanted to, like you just mentioned, NZD JPY, that's probably like one of the best ones to trade during Asia session, because you can see right here, like this is Asia session right here. It opened right here at 1500 hours. Yeah. So this thing moved like 50 pips. So yeah, if you plan on trading during Asia session, you could trade like an Asian asset like this, NZD JPY. This is probably the best one to trade. But then again, you're gonna run into like some weird movements. Like right here, this is kind of a weird movement where price comes down and it comes back up as it reaches like London session. So it just depends on what you're applying. But like here's another example. You see where it's like barely even moving.
Yeah.
You're not always going to get you're not always going to get it where it's moving fast. Like, obviously, this is going to be something that moves faster than like the US pair or even like US 30. But you just got to keep in mind that sometimes if the market's just flat, it's probably better to just sit it out. So you can probably test it out. Like say you're trading one day for that hour and then you see some good entries, you can go ahead and like, mess around with it. But if you like look at the chart and it's not really moving, then you would probably just sit it out because you're just taking on too much risk that way.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to just practice because I'm going to do a demo. I'm going to pick like a pair that I guess is moving enough at night and just practice it.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example here, like if you were to take this trade here for like I was showing you on US 30 where you take like the main position here, you would have the main position. And then as you're taking this position right here, there's a bunch of scalp moves right here as well. See, every time it comes up to the pivots, you can just add on positions right there. So it comes up to the pivot, you just take like a small short position there. And just by looking at it right here, it's tested it like a ton of times. It's tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 11 or 12 times right here where you can take small scalps, like if you really wanted to.
You're closing them though, right? You're not riding them all the way down.
No, yeah. If you're scalping, you want to set a target and then you just want to keep collecting profit. So every time it comes up, it just drops, you make profit, comes up, drops, make profit. And you just keep pretty much like securing profits so that in case this ends up like reversing on you, because in some cases it'll reverse on you, right? If you're pivoting to it, you'll minimize your loss because you'll have profits from the scalps. Like say your full profit for the big position was probably like $100, right? And you're scalping like $10 every time you see a scalp. So if you scalp it like 6 or 7 times, you make $70 there. And then if your trade ends up reversing on you and you don't move your stop loss like a profit or something like that, you only lose like $30 versus losing the entire $100.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it. The only problem with scalping is you literally have to be like glued to your screen, bro. Because like if you take your eyes off the chart for like a few seconds, you could literally go in the opposite direction like in an instant. Because it's
happened to me last night.
Bro, it's happened to me one too many times. So like I could say from experience, I lost a lot of money doing that. Where like I was like trading and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go eat dinner or something. I'll go away for like 10 minutes. Do I come back and it's complete opposite? But why didn't I just close the position?
I had to move my car. Like not even, it was 2 minutes. I came back. It was nowhere near where it was or where I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it was crazy. And a lot of times when you scalp, you're probably better off like not even using any targets or stop losses. You're kind of better just like, because it's going to force you to stay at the computer. So you just have your finger like on the sell button, the close button. So you like hit, enter the position, close right away. So you're like, because if you're like just watching it and you see it bounce around, it's easier for you to open and close positions rather than, opening it and setting a stop loss TP and then sometimes you'll forget about it. So like for me, when I scalp, I usually just do everything manually. So if I see it, like for example here, if I was watching this trade right here, I would enter a sell right here. So I would enter a sell right here. And then as it comes up, I would enter another sell for my scalp and I'll take some profit. As it comes back up, enter a sell, take some profit, enter a sell, take some profit, enter a sell, take some profit. And then as this comes up right here, I probably would have closed it. So say I entered like a sell right here, price came up to this pivot. Before I was able to exit and profit, I would just close it out for a loss and I just take another sell and then just pretty much just keep doing it over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing with scalping is just, it's more like you gotta be really quick. Like don't think about it. Just like when you see it reaching the pivot, just hit that sell and then pretty much just keep closing it out as it keeps going.
And like set a small, like, $5, $10, whatever I'm doing, whether it's US 30 or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Just have like a money goal. So like every time you take a position, just have like a mental reminder of like, oh, when it reaches $30 or reaches $50, remember to hit that close, right? You just hit.
That's so hard to do though.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. Like for us, we're talking about it here, but when you're actually trading, you'll see like $30 and you're like, should I close it? You're like, no, I'm gonna let it go to 50. And it ends up going opposite, right? It happens all the time. Yeah. It's all mental, bro. It's literally all mental. So if that's the case where it's hard for you to close a position, then you might be better off just having a TP. So it closes it out automatically.
Yeah. I think if I'm scalping, I think I'll force myself. I'm going to practice with the demo.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of practice, bro. Because when I first started trading, I used to make a lot of money scalping, and I'd lose a lot of money scalping. Like I would make a whole bunch of money the first hour, and then the second hour I'd lose all of it and go into the negative. And I'm like, damn, if I would just like stick to my plan, I would have been fine.
Yeah, Fred, I was reading a book. I forget what it was, but maybe it was a YouTube video. But what I read was they were like set a money goal for the day, and once you hit it, that's it. Call it a day.
Oh yeah. It might have been Trading in the Zone. That's like that's one of the big books that everyone reads. But yeah, that was my goal when I first started trading. When I first started trading, I was like, I want to lock in a couple $100. Once I reach that, I'm like done for the day. But the problem is you get greedy because you keep hitting like $100. You're like, damn, if I stayed in the market, I could have made $200, right? But then it ends up doing the complete opposite.
Yeah, I gotta practice.
Yeah. Well, scalping, like, dude, scalping is something that you'll never really fully get. Like, you'll have good days, and then when you have bad days, you're gonna second guess. You're like, does this even work? But the main key is just being consistent. You know, like have a limit where you're like, I'll lose this much money today, and have a goal like I'll make this much money today. And then instead of trading more, because the problem with people is they want to trade more, like time wise, you're better off just increasing risk and doing the same thing within that set amount of time rather than going from trading 1 hour a day to like 4 hours a day. Because if you do that, it just increases your risk because obviously you're not going to win every single trade. You're better off just trading for that hour and then increasing your lot size to make more profit rather than trade longer, because the longer you trade, the more sloppy you get, right? Because when you first start trading, you're like you're like 100%, you're alert, you're awake. But once you go into like 2 hours of trading, you start to get lazy, you start to get greedy, you start to think about other things, and you're just not there.
Yeah, I'm not even at that point yet. I'm still just looking at the 4 hour, kind of not even really noticing the entries, but catching them a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Slowly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I mean, me personally, I did the opposite. I went from scalping to the 4 hour. That's usually how most traders go because scalping is just addicting. It's like gambling. You just see a lot of quick profits and you think that's like the main thing to do. But for me, I realized that, I want to do other stuff with my time. So that's why I stopped scalping for the most part. Even though I could probably make more money scalping, I'd rather just trade on the 4 hour and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Shawn. Shawn, how do you have your K² trend meter set up for like the time frame wise for US 30?
For US 30, I usually have it set to the well, I don't even use the trend meter on US 30, but if I was to use it, I would probably have it set to the 5, 15, or here's 5, 10, 15, and 30 minute. Because the thing with US 30 is that it doesn't really trend for that long. It usually goes back and forth because it's so volatile, where like it's not going to be trending for too long. So you're kind of better off using it on the shorter time frames, because if you go on the higher time frames, like the 31 hour, like the normal intraday that I set it for, I don't think you really get much trends. Yeah, so it'll be blue down here most of the time if you do that, because it's not really it doesn't trend like that very often. Because US 30 is like a totally different asset. It's not similar to like Forex, where things will be trending for like a week or so. For US 30, it can be trending for like a couple minutes, maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple days if you're lucky. But you're probably better off just doing it on the shorter time frame. So I have it set to the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, and 30, because this will give you a good understanding as to like where price is going to move within the next 4 to 8 hours max. Because that's usually what you want to trade anyways. You just want to trade those small little movements in the market.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna put that there. Then I'll do the same trend meter that you do. You do the same thing with like the Forex pairs when you're trading higher time frames, or you just do like the regular one that you just said.
Yeah, so on Forex, I usually use the 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. So those are the intraday settings, so that I kind of have a good idea as to like where price is going to move. Like like 8 to 16 hours ahead. So basically like an entire day. Because usually if I'm going to take a trade like for a buy, I want to make sure that trade is going to continue in that direction for the next, you know, from like 6 to 18 hours. Because then usually that's when the trade finishes up. Usually finishes within like 4 to 6 hours. If you hold it longer, maybe like up to 16 hours if that's the case. You know, in some instances when the market's not moving that fast.
All right. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. Let's see.
Hey Shawn, you said in the chat that the what trade was it? It was the pound and the euro and the pound. You said it activated?
Euro and the pound in the chat. Let me see. Oh, EG, yeah. So let me pull up EG real quick.
Yeah, mine never. I
Yeah.
still have an order in.
Yeah, so mine filled right here. I think it filled because of the spread. Because the spread during the swap was like probably like 10 pips. So what happened was price got close to it. Like right here, you can see where the little wick was. So like from that point down to entry, it was like 2 pips. So when the spread got wide, what happens is these numbers start to spread out. So like when that happens, it automatically filled my order.
Is that because I have a different broker or?
Possibly, yeah. That might be the case.
Yeah, I got Hugo's way.
Oh yeah, because broker is very from like broker to broker. Because sometimes some brokers they'll widen their spread a little early before the spread even happens, and for other brokers they'll just keep it. Honestly, for Hugo's way, it's really iffy. Like they're like all the unregulated brokers are like fishy because they'll manipulate spread to either stop people out or lock people into positions. I'm sure you've probably noticed that before.
Oh yeah. When I first started.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll have your position and price is like so far away, right? And you're like, what the fuck? How did I get into this position? Because like for a split second, they'll like spread they'll make the spread super wide. Because if that's the case, it becomes like a net. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
spread, like it widens like a net, so that all these like orders that are in between, they just get sucked into the position. And they do that sometimes because like if they see like an area where a lot of people are entering trades, they'll just spread the wide out. They'll make this spread a little wide for like a second, like a split second, and then everyone gets into the trade. And especially if it's a trade that's like a risky one where they know that they're probably going to lose, they'll try to lock people in. And then what happens is they'll stop them out and then they'll take the opposite position. I'm not sure if you understand how like brokers do that.
No, not really. I kind of thought they just made money on our trades, like to process our trades. I didn't know that they were taking positions.
Yeah, no. So like basically like, sometimes if you'll see price, like what happens is it'll go close to your stop loss, right? And it'll stop you out. And then immediately, like right when it stops you out, it like dumps right back into profit. I'm sure you've seen that before, right?
Yeah.
So the way that happens is the brokers and institutions, what they do is they'll stop people out and then they'll take trades in the opposite. They'll like basically swap your trade. Like they'll take your trade and then they'll swap in the other direction. That's why they spike price in the other way. Or sometimes you'll see once it reaches your stop loss, it'll continue pushing farther, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll either push farther up or it'll reverse. So usually what happens is when it stops you out, they take over your position. Basically they close your position out and they take over it, and then they make that profit as that it gets that momentum swing up. So you'll see a little swing up, and then after a few seconds you'll see it come right back down, because what they do is they'll take your position, they'll take over it, they'll make money right there, and then they'll sell it off and spike it right back down.
Are you saying they're taking the position from where I entered?
They're taking position from where you got stopped out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they like it's kind of shady, like the way that they work sometimes too, is because they all kind of work together. Like they know where your stop losses are. So if they see a bunch of stop losses in this like same area right here, where the swing's at, they'll pretty much just they'll stop everyone out, take a position, spike price up, make some like a small profit off that, like a scalp. Like basically, how you're trying to scalp like a little profit.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically trying to scalp your position. So they take your position, stop you out, push it up a little further and make a little more profit. Then they sell it off and it goes back in the other direction.
I feel like that's Euro USD, like every freaking trade.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's why I usually try to stay away from the major pairs, because the major pairs are the ones that are most manipulated. since there's majority of people trading those. Obviously, it's a volume game, so like more people are trading that, there's more money for them to make in that direction. Like if that's the case.
Yeah, I took. I'm in the call you had the other day.
Oh
I
yeah,
sent you a chart yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, for your USD, right?
Yeah.
Is that still active? Oh, it's still active. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still active. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what happened here was, so it looks like this area right here, like where I'm pointing at right now. Let me just draw a box. So it looks like this might have been like an area where there was a lot of stop losses. This little area right here, because you can see price spikes up, basically to stop people out, and then it dumps all the way back down.
Yeah, every time. I mean, I'm rarely going to trade this pair, but like every time I entered a trade, it would go the opposite direction, but it would go so far. It's just like, wow, like what do you know? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I prefer to trade on the 4 hour, because if you're scalping, that's where a lot of the manipulation happens, because a lot of people have like tight stop losses, and that's where you'll get fucked like the most, unless you're like in and out of the position like quickly, because some people like to hold it for a long time, uh, and they'll be like deep in profit. They never move their stop loss in profit, and then it just ends up reversing on them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
those are.
yeah, so like scalping is like a double-edged sword. Depending if you're good at it, if you're good at it, you can make a lot of money. But if you're not good at it, you could lose a lot of money, because there's just a lot of noise on the shorter time frames.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that demo account.
Yeah, it's not my money, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's fun, dude. It's fun in a good and a bad way. It could be fun where you'll make a lot of money, or it'll be fun where you'll be losing a lot of money, but you'll just get greedy. 'Cause that's what's happened to me before in the past. Like it was still fun, even though I was losing and stressed out, but it was just fun because of the money, right? Because you see the money come and go super quickly.
Yeah, I just want to because I'm doing the 4 hour, but I want to like spend like an hour a day just trying to make some money. Nothing crazy, but just to practice, and then maybe.
Yeah, the better way to do it is to identify a position on the 4 hour. Like for example, here for your USD, identify this, and once you do that, go on the shorter time frame, like go on the 10-minute or the 5-minute, and then you can scalp within here, because you already know the direction of price, right? 'Cause you already have a position. So like for example, here, if you were to do that, you can just take all these cells right here as price crosses back below. Like right here, since we're taking a sell, as price crosses back below right here, you can just take these cells right here and scalp within it as it keeps coming.
Oh, okay.
Down. So that's another way to do it. That's actually how I normally do it, because when you're just scalping on the short time frame, you're kind of just guessing, right? You're not sure what direction it's going to go towards, just by using the pivots. But if you already have a position like this, like your USD for a sell, you can hop on and then you can just scalp within the short time frames from here. So like right here, every time it came up, you could have just taken all these little cells right here for like 10 pips or so.
Would you take buys too if it looked right?
I wouldn't. So like
No?
if I'm gonna
Okay.
sell, if I'm gonna sell, I'm just gonna take sells, because I don't want to go against my, obviously my own trade.
True, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I think this is actually better, because this makes more sense. Like especially if you're learning.
Yeah.
Because the problem when you're on the shorter time frame, like for example, if you're on the 10-minute, like the market isn't always going to be running smooth. Like you're going to have a lot of whipsaws where price comes down, comes up, comes down. But if you already have like a general bias, like you're like, oh, I'm ready to sell on the 4 hour, so I'm going to go down the 10-minute and I'm just going to scalp on that, right? If you do that, then it actually works more beneficial, because you already have the confluence. Like you have the 4 hour time frame where you're like, all right, I'm taking sells here, and then you go on the short time frame and you're basically just scalping smaller moves within that full move.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're gonna scalp, I probably would stay away from like these more manipulated pairs, because you can even see right here, like price will come, and then as it gets close to these pivots, you'll see like random spikes, because generally if it's an area where there's a lot of stop losses, they're gonna stop you out, or they're gonna keep you in the trade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to stick to the NZD JPY or maybe US 30 during the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think NZD JPY is a pretty good pair. It's not really heavily manipulated.
Thank you, Shawn.
Oh, there you go.
Oh man. Hey, is there any correlation between those spikes? Like, you know what I mean? Are each spikes like no less than this amount, like this many pips versus no more than this amount of pips, so that if it gets down to the pivots, we know, okay, we're at the pivots. We need average person has like after the pivots, average person has say 6 pips. So we're gonna put ours 10 pips. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for the stop losses.
Yeah, because you said that if like a lot of when it gets to the pivots that you'll see the spike. Like, is there any correlation? I mean, obviously that's something that we just have to go back and look, but maybe we could say like, okay, you know what? Out of 15 spikes down, the shortest we've seen were a 6 pip spike to a 12 pip spike, or just saying. So that means that when it gets to the pivots, we have to take our lot size with a 15 pip stop loss in case of a spike. We're still good.
It's really random. There's really no way to really predict when a spike's going to happen, because the spike can happen for a lot of reasons. Like you can see right here on your USD. Let me just take this off. You can see that there's a bunch of spikes here just randomly. Like you'll see price will be moving smooth and then randomly a spike down. Generally, these spikes will happen if there's like a news event or if it's like getting near a stop loss area. Generally, a lot of people put their stop losses at the previous swing. That's why when I put my stop loss up, I usually put it like slightly below it. So instead of having my stop loss like right here, I would put it like way below so that it doesn't get stopped out like it did right here. Like it just spikes people out, stops them out, and it shoots right back up.
And also on your pivots, is there anything like that's the most like a stronger confluence for you? Like what's the candle that you normally look for off a pivot? Do you look for like a long wick and then a pull back up above the pivot?
It depends. So like if you're are you doing it like for scalping, or are you trying to do it on the higher time frame?
No, like a 1 hour, 4 hour.
Okay, yeah. For like something like that, I would use a confluence as the SR. So you can see right here when price comes down and tests the pivots, and then you have the SR level there. You can see that if they reject off the pivots plus they reject off the SR level, then it's probably going to shoot back up. Like for example here, like price comes down, it rejects off the pivot, but it also rejects off the SR level. So that's like a strong confluence right there, where it's going to indicate that price is probably going to bounce right off it and shoot right back up. And then again, for example, right here, price comes down, it rejects off the pivot right here, but it also rejects off the K2SR zone, and then you can see that nice rejection off there as well. So what I would do is I would draw the zones, and then I would also confirm that with the pivot rejection as well.
Are your pivots, what are they, just like SMAs? Like a 5, 8, 10, 13?
Yeah, they're EMAs. They're exponential because SMAs they're laggy. So SMAs are laggy moving averages. The EMAs are the ones that are more with price. As price moves, it moves with price. But the SMAs are kind of slower. That's why usually people use SMAs for trends, like overall trends, and then they use EMAs for like rejection points.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And then my last thing is, like you guys are saying, like how, like there's so many times, like that I'll be like, all right, I'll be in a trade, and then I'm like, there's times like, and I feel like it's every time. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, all right, like I even told like Kyle, I was up 1900. Stupid me. I had my stops to break even rather than set it at 1,000. It is what it is. But like, there's times where I'll be like, boom, I'll go in at a 15 lot, and then I'll see like 400, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna close. And then I leave like a 2 runner. The runner gets stopped out, right? So I only make that 13, which is okay. Then there's times where I'm like, you know what? I closed, and as soon as I close, it shot up. So then I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it open. Then it reverses. And like, you ever feel like it's always against you?
Yeah, exactly. That's why what I always recommend is figure out like one way that you like to do it and do it every single time. Because if you're consistent with it, like, for example, like you just mentioned here, if you close your position when you're like deep in profit already every single time, you'd always be in profit, right? Because you never have to worry about that reversal where it stops you at a break even or it stops you at, you know, at another price point. So like if you want to move it to break even, do that for every trade. If you want to move your stop loss to TP1 or TP2, do that for every trade. Or if you want to just close once you're in profit, make sure to do that in every trade, because eventually it'll balance out. Because, you know, every trade's going to be a little different and it's not always going to be the same. So you might just be getting unlucky where you end up using the wrong exit strategy at the wrong times. And that's happened to me too. So I look, it's happened to me a bunch of times where sometimes I'll move stop loss and profit, and then it'll hit my, it'll like trigger my stop loss and profit, and then it shoots the full TP, right? And then there's like other times where, like you mentioned, you move your stop loss to break even instead of moving it to TP1, and then it pulls back all the way to break even and you make no money at all. So the thing is, not every trade is going to be the same, but if you keep applying the same exit strategy for every single trade, you're gonna continue to catch the good ones, and then you're gonna get, you know, you're gonna end up bouncing back from the ones that don't hit. So my recommendation is just to do the same thing every single time. Just be consistent with it.
Gotcha. All right. I'm good. I appreciate you. I'm definitely gonna. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna see what happens this week. You know, I mean, obviously the end of this week, I don't want to go all out, but I mean, like, I kind of have to, because I mean, I don't want to, like, you know, what I mean, I'd rather fail and break under 90 than try to play it safe
And just miss it, yeah.
and miss it. You know, I'd rather. I mean, if I'm gonna fail this, then I want to fail it at 90. I want to fail at 89,000 rather than be
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
you know what? I
Dude,
won
I
5
took a
trades in a
20.
5 lot. Why didn't I just take a 15 lot and call it a day?
I took a 20 lot and I made sure the stop was right at 90,000. Luckily, it went up.
Yeah, like what you could do is you can take trades, and then once it moves in profit, just always move your stop loss in profit. Like say you like take a trade, you're like $500 in profit, right? Don't like try to hit like anything higher. Just move your stop loss right below it. So if it pulls back, you guarantee those profits. But if it continues going, then you can keep pushing for it, and then just keep doing that for every single trade. Because your main goal right now is to lock in enough profit to get to a certain amount where you can start taking normal trades. Because right now you're just like you're at the line. So you're basically trying to just build that up where you have some cushion, and then you can start taking some normal trades. But I think right now you should probably just scalp. That's probably the best option for you right now. Because if you scalp, you can lock in a couple $100 here and there, and then those $100 are going to add up to like a couple thousand, and then at that point you'll be able to take, you know, normal trades again. Because right now you can't really do much with what you have left to take normal trades. Because if you take a normal trade, you're going to be hanging on to that, and it'll probably, you know, by the time you won't even notice it, and you'll be at your last day already if you take it too easy.
Yeah, that was me last night. This Kyle was cracking. He damn near was crying because I'm like, there was one candle on GJ. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. That thing started reversing, and then all I just saw a negative and I'm like, bro, hey, he's cracking up because I went from like 92,000, and here I am at 90,000, like 200. But I'm like, come on. And you know what's crazy? As soon as I closed, 10 seconds, literally,
right?
10 seconds later, I was like, dude, you know, if we were still in this, we would be up probably like 4K. He's like, I know, like, that's what eats at me. But listen, I appreciate you guys because there's a car accident over here I just got to. I got to grab this guy. So thank you, Shawn. And you guys I'll talk to because I got to cut out.
All right, Billy, catch you later.
All right, bro.
Bye-bye.
That's funny. Yeah, like what happened to Billy, that's happened to me like a lot of times. So like that's why it's really important that you stick to the game plan. You know, if you want to apply a certain strategy, apply it at the same time every single time. If you want to apply an exit strategy, just make sure to apply that the same time every single time too, because not every trade's going to be the same. So, you know, you might run into some duds here and there, but if you keep doing the same thing, you're eventually going to have a hot streak where you just keep hitting the good trades back and back to back. So, I mean, that's probably the main, that's like the main advice I could give. Just be consistent. It doesn't matter which strategy you apply. Just be consistent with every single trade.
True. I'm gonna practice the scalp.
Yeah, you know, that kind of makes me want to practice it too. So I think I'm gonna start applying that as well, even for like your USD right here, because it seems like I could probably scalp a bit as it makes its way back down. But
yeah, I'm not trying to be greedy, but you know, I want to like. I'm not done with the work day, but I'm done with work. So let's go back to work, you know?
exactly. Never stops, bro. Especially with trading, you know? It literally never stops.
Awesome. I'm good too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good.
Anything else? You guys good?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, for sure, dude. Yeah, if you guys want to set up another one, let me know. Cause
Yeah, I think this will be the day. I think.
okay, on Wednesdays.
Yeah, probably around this time too.
Okay, cool. So you want me to schedule you guys for next week? Let's see.
Yeah, if you could.
So let me do that real quick. Yeah, 4 p.m. on the 27th.
Damn, it's only 4 over there. 5.
There's like 7 over there, 8.
8. Yeah, it's dark.
8 over there. It's crazy how like the time difference is like so big.
Yeah. Yeah, your night's just beginning.
Yeah, dude, it's just beginning. I got a bunch of sessions tonight too, so I'm gonna be going back to back from like now until like 9. So I got like
nice.
4 more sessions, which is not bad because it's cool. Like it seems like work to people, but for me, I'm still learning. Like even like with you guys, going over the scalping, I haven't scalped in a while, so like this kind of makes me want to scalp again because it looks like there's like a bunch of opportunities that I missed out on, which I could have made a ton of profit off.
Yeah, it's not. If you enjoy doing it, it's not work.
Exactly. Yeah. I have fun doing this. Like even every morning, everyone always asks me like, "Hey, how do you go on those live sessions? Don't you get annoyed or like get bored?" And I'm like, "Nah, bro. Like I live for this shit, literally."
Yeah. I don't know if I can deal with the people that question everything in the chat. With you, like, why didn't you call this or why did you do that? Oh man.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, I've grown thick skin over like the couple months or couple years that I've been doing this. But yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying, bro. It's like I'll get people that complain if we hit TP. I'll get people complain if we hit stop loss. It doesn't matter.
Oh
Like,
my God.
There's gonna be someone that's gonna complain about something. Like
Yeah.
someone will complain that they use the exit strategy, which is it's advised, it's not required, but they'll get mad because they got out at TP1 and then it goes to full TP. And then
Oh my God.
yeah, or then they'll get mad if it hits stop loss and they didn't use the exit strategy when, like I mentioned before, it's advised but it's not required. So it's like it's a lose for me either way.
Yeah.
And I mean it sucks, but it's whatever. I've gotten used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If it was as perfect as everybody wants it to be, there would be no need for K2 or all these other groups. Everybody would be doing it. Nobody would even be working.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone would be a great trader, right? If it was
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dude. I gotta hop on this next call to realize it's 5.
All right.
All right, man. So I'll catch you guys later. I'll see you guys probably next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Shawn. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.